Black powder has been coming into Europe at this time, coming from the Chinese. And they've discovered that these are a good weapon introduced to the battlefield. A couple of reasons. One is it's a shock weapon, which means most of the people in the field have never seen anything quite like this or heard anything quite like this. When this fires, this is an actual gun that can fire. We're not allowed to do it here. There'll be a tremendous noise. There'll be a flame shooting out of here 10 to 15 feet, followed by large quantities of smoke. And I would not be the only gunner out here. There would be lots of us just shooting in that direction. Accuracy, not so much, but when you have a whole bunch of people with these, you don't really need it. We were reviled as soldiers. This was the lowest weapon that you could use. Anybody can pick one of these up, learn to use it, and shoot. There was no real skill required. This part here, the hook, would be for use if I was, say, up on top of the castle there, and I wanted to shoot down. This would hook onto the wall, prevent the recoil. Still not going to help my accuracy, but it's not going to come flying back at me. If I was one of the lucky ones to be on the battlefield, this would also become my defensive weapon, because these take about 30 seconds to reload, 30 seconds to a minute. And in that time, people are coming at me. We were so reviled that if we were actually captured, they would cut off our hands and gouge our eyes out, because we were not a very well looked upon soldier. But from a shock perspective, these things were great.
It's one thing you have to remember, that we in our society almost never get to see, or hear actually, is silence. I mean, think about how we live today. When is the last time you actually heard nothing? No machines, no radio, no people talking, no cars driving by, or television. You know, at the time when it was completely silent during the day. Well, that's how they lived. It was always silence. So the only thing you heard were the noises you and your family made. So you got out onto the battlefield, and the horses, of course, have never heard these things. And 500 of these go off at once, and it's chaos, right? Because you just scared the bejesus out of all those people who were charging at you, even though probably very few of them fell to the ground, right? They just didn't understand what was going on. So these were really an important scare tactic rather than so much a deadly weapon on the field. Remember, gunners at the time is spelled G-O-N-N-E-R-S. They are goners, because the metallurgy is not great, and this is eventually going to explode and kill him. And that's one of the reasons we give them to idiots, because any moron can point it in the other direction. And when they die, you just recruit another.
Yes. Right. If they heat up, I mean, if you kept firing this over and over, the barrel's eventually going to heat up and blow up. You could put anything in here that would fit. Normally you'd shoot a round lead shot. You run out of that, there's rocks on the ground. So you could put in bits of metal. The earliest ones would shoot arrows. These things could also plug your barrel up, cause it to explode. Another problem is, I'm carrying this. This is lit off with a piece of cord that's lit, that's been soaked in a gunpowder solution. So I've got this lit cord, I've got this gun filled with gunpowder, and I'm carrying powder with me. So you can just imagine the amount of powder horns going off would be attached to it. So it was a very dangerous weapon, but it had its use.
Ready to introduce.
Okay, first up,